what I want to see, Dad, and I think you'll agree with this because we speak about this a lot down the Blues and pre-matches and post-matches, speed, momentum, pace. We need to go at these quickly because we've noticed even when teams park the bus against us, when we shift the ball quickly, we still cause teams a lot of problems.
Yeah.
It's when we get into this shoehorn that we just go side to side and we get a little bit stuck and we lack that creativity.
So after a fantastic FA Cup night against Newcastle United, when Blues unfortunately fell 3-2, but had a fantastic performance and a brilliant atmosphere, we come back to the bread and butter really, and the importance of this season. That is promotion from League One. We are currently top of the table and we need to maintain that momentum in that next game, which is home to Cambridge United. And this is one of our games in hand, one of our rearranged fixtures. And in this podcast, myself and Matt are going to preview the game, give our thoughts on Cambridge, a little bit about what we think about the Birmingham City team will be. Matt, Cambridge United, bottom of the league at the moment, but I've noticed over the last few weeks that the teams down the bottom of League One have been starting to pick up a few points.
It always happens this time of season, doesn't it? The ones fighting for their lives can scrap through, and the ones kind of wanting to make the playoffs kind of scrap through, and you get big performances in this part of the season, don't you, Dad? And it feels really weird to be doing a pre now. We're in February. The season ends in 3 months.
Yeah.
We've not played Cambridge, and we hadn't played Stevenage up until last week, had we? So
yeah.
they're the two teams we've managed to dodge this season so far. But it's good to be back in the league, as you said, Dad. I think that's really key what you said. It's our bread and butter. This is what we want. Blues fans agree with this. We want to get back in the Championship. And don't get me wrong, you can't beat those FA Cup nights, can you? And even after a loss, that was magic. And, even the idea of Wembley and the EFL Trophy sounds great, but this is where it's at, isn't it? This is it. This is the league. This is what we want. We want to get back into playing Championship football next season. And I'm sure Blues fans will know what I mean by this, but I hate these sorts of games, top v bottom.
Yeah.
In typical Blues history, isn't it, Dad? We've seen this season.
Well, not just Blues history, Matt. I think, there's lots of history where top teams have played bottom teams and the results have gone, the wrong way.
When we played Shrewsbury, they were bottom, weren't they?
Yes.
Or they were close to.
Yeah.
It's just a game for Blues that, we do really well against the games, like the top teams and stuff, and it's this kind of game for Blues, isn't it? But I am joking. I think, this is going to be a physical game. I think we're going to be back into the League One system of, I think they're going to be deep in their own half. I think we're going to be trying to break them down a lot during this game. But nonetheless, Dad, Tuesday night, St.Andrews, I'm still looking forward to it. It should be a good game.
I'm looking forward to every game this season. We've got a fantastic home record, haven't we? And that's what really works in our favour. Just on a bit of current form, as we know, their manager is our ex-manager, Gary Monk, and we obviously got links with players, with Longello. He's on loan there. I've got no idea what happened to Gary Gardner. I don't think he's played for them. I don't know if he's still playing for them. Maybe if you're a Cambridge fan, let us know. He left us. His contract ended in the summer and he signed for Cambridge. But I've not seen any evidence of any games he's played.
Because no disrespect to Cambridge, I really don't mean it in this way. He was playing Championship football last season, so you'd think he'd be good enough to play in League One. Maybe he's had a really bad injury.
I think it is. Usually with Gary Gardner, injured. That was his problem with us, wasn't it? But they've on current form, they've the last 10 games, they've only won 1, drawn 3, and lost 6. But actually, in their last 5 games, they've only lost 1. So they've drawn 3, won 1. And lost 1. So they're not prolific in terms of picking up wins, but they are starting to get draws and things like that. So, but again, like you said, they're dangerous because they're a team that is now getting to this point of the season where if you don't start picking up points, you're going to get cut adrift and you're going to be out of the chance to stay up. We're on in our league in the last 10, won 7, drawn 3. We've got a fantastic home record. So the form would say that it'll be us that would obviously be massive favourites for this game. Yeah. But like we've said, like every opposition, we've got to respect every opposition. And Northampton, when they came to us, were not down the bottom, but they were towards the bottom, and they managed to get a draw. And I'll say we lost at Shrewsbury, didn't we, earlier in the season?
And they were a funny team, Dad. They were quite hard to predict. I've got a few. I'm sure you're going to go into recent form, but just to give a little bit more overarching against teams they've done well, poor, and drew against. This is really interesting. Listen to this one. So they've lost some games to the teams around them. So they've lost to Crawley, they've lost to Bristol Rovers and Peterborough down there. I mean, they lost that one 6-1. That was a thumping. But they've managed to draw against Wrexham, Wickham, Bolton, and Barnsley, and they've beaten Mansfield, Stevenage, and Wigan. I mean, if that doesn't scream inconsistent and unpredictable, I don't know what does. And this is the problem with League One, isn't it? It's like it's so unpredictable to really get a grasp of where a team is.
Some teams are, we looked at when we looked at Stevenage. We're not down there; they're mid-table. When we did the pre-video against Stevenage in the EFL Trophy, they seem to do very well against the better teams, and it seems to be that Cambridge are the same. Now we are the best team in this division at the moment because we're top. The league says we are, so they're going to come out and have a go. But so just a little bit on their stats map, which is interesting. They've got the fourth worst home record in the league and the worst away record. Okay. They've got 7 points out of their 15 games away. That's not great. They are way down in goals scored, 30, so they're probably around about 17th in the out of 24 teams in the amount of goals scored, scoring 30. And defensively, they've got the third worst defence. But then, for a team that's conceded 51 goals in their how many games have they played away? 19. So they've got like a lot of stats there that they're not great scoring many goals. They concede lots of goals, and they haven't got a good away record, and that would all point to a Blues win. But if I go back to the last 5 fixtures, and I think that shows their current form, is that they drew 2-2 at Bolton, then they beat Mansfield 3-2. Then they lost 2-1 away at Rotherham, and then they've drawn 1-1 with Wickham at home and 1-1 away to Lincoln. So they are finding a bit of form. And obviously, we had the January transfer window, so they might have added players that might have added something to them. Yeah. So they are showing a little bit of fight, but they are bottom of the league at the moment. So they're on they're right at the bottom of the league on 23 points. Above them is Crawley on 24, Shrewsbury and then Burton on 26. That's the bottom 4, and then Peterborough just above that now on 30 points. So it's still tightened up down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's tightened up down there. So even though they on paper it looks like that Cambridge, this will be a tough one for Cambridge. They've got nothing to lose, have they? Yeah. Really, they're expected to be beaten, and they'll probably do what other teams have done and try and catch it on the break with a very intensive low block.
Most managers accept and see Birmingham as a free hit, don't they? Steve Evans said it with Rotherham. A few other managers have said, we're not expected to win this game, so we're just going to go and give it our best, basically. That's the kind of attitude that a lot of teams have when they come to St.Andrews, don't they? But, Gary Monk's in charge, Dad, and I think with Gary Monk, he's tried to make them a little bit more progressive. Historically, Cambridge have been a bit more of that defensive kind of team, and then catching around the breaks, set pieces, those sorts of things. He has tried to base them a bit more around higher possession. Those classical buzzwords that we hear in this modern football, that high possession, high press, greater control of the game, all these different things. But I think it reminds me a bit of Rooney. When he came to Blues last season, Dad, he was trying to make players do stuff that they're not capable of. I think Gary Monk, in some regard, I think he's the reason why they might have found recent form, Dad, is he's maybe stepped down from the pedestal of not pedestal, but he's stepped back from his principles of maybe being so aggressive with these things, and he's actually allowed the players to play to their strengths. Because you can only ask a player to be so progressive, high press, high possession if they've got the skill set to do so. If you've got players who are used to being defensive and used to playing out of possession, they just can't do the other side of the game because they can over time with training, but if you just haven't got the skill set to do that, it's just not there, is it?
It's adapting. I think.
That's it.
I think other clubs have criticised their managers for not adapting. I can remember Ian Everett at Bolton. I remember Bolton fans screaming, change the system. Similar now, you're hearing like lots of anti sort of football comments from Huddersfield fans saying they're not really playing effective football, and because Michael Duff keeps the same style, and I think that's the same here. But maybe if he's changed, maybe he's showing better results for them.
But this is why, in my opinion, John Eustace, Gary Rowett, they're good managers because they play to the team's strengths. They don't try and make their players do something they're not capable of. And that's the thing, I think, with Gary Monk. Maybe he's gone in there a little bit aggressive and they're playing football they're not really capable of. But I've got a few little strengths and weaknesses of Cambridge. We'll go through them. I'm sure you've got some of your own as well. But in terms of strengths, typical things you'd expect from a team bottom of the league, scrappy. They battle, they do like to get stuck in. And, I think some of the results we labelled earlier, Dad, getting a draw against Wrexham and Bolton and Barnsley, these sorts of things, you have to have some sort of resilience to hang in there and get that draw. So they've got individual moments of quality from individual players. Their top goal scorer is Elias Kachung, which I love that surname, Kachung, reminds me of that money. He's their leading scorer. Shane Lavery, good goal contributions. Josh Stokes, who's a good winger. And Liam Bennett, who's their consistent right back. They're the 4 I've picked who have individual moments in games, pretty good players. Again, in typical League One fashion, Dad, set pieces.
Yeah.
There's something in the water at this level, and I've said this all season. League One teams are just very good at set pieces, in my opinion, and they do play wide and get fullback movement involved. But in terms of weaknesses, as we can imagine, Dad, bottom of the league, they concede a hell of a lot of goals.
Yep.
And when I've noticed in certain games, when they go down, they really go down. You know, Peterborough beat them 6-1. There's been a couple of games where if they concede early, I don't know whether it's a head drop thing or a confidence thing.
Yeah.
They can leak quite a lot of goals. Transition is really slow. You know, we mentioned about Newcastle, Blues, Leicester last year. All these teams, the good teams, transition quickly, don't they? They go from defence to attack very fast. They've got quite quick players. Cambridge can't quite master that. They haven't really done that, and they get caught out sometimes while they're trying to get up the pitch because they're a defensive-minded team.
Yeah.
And then just a little bit of quality in the final third, clinicalness and squad depth. You know, this is where Blues excel, isn't it? We have squad depth, and even us now, Dad, we're feeling the injury table, aren't we? Especially in our midfield, and we've got quality to come in and back it up still. You know, even with all our midfield, Bielek could play centre mid. You know, so we do have quality and depth where Cambridge haven't quite got that, but. You can list strength, you can list weaknesses, we can rattle all the stats off in the world, Dad. It's a game of football, 90 minutes, and as we know, anything can happen, can't it? So we do have to respect our opponents.
It can. That's some good stats. That's mainly what I've got. I mean, I've got their, style of play. They're like long balls. I suppose when you have a team that hasn't got the quality of other teams, that has to be the style of play. So it's long balls. So we might expect to see some high balls. They try to play with width, but I think that is less effective. In terms of weaknesses, you mentioned a few really, but keeping possession, they're going to have trouble against us. We in League One dominate possession, so we expect to have a lot of the ball. Finishing scoring chances when they make them is a weakness as well. They also, it says here that which is unusual for a League One team. It says they're weak on aerial duels.
Okay.
So even though they put a lot of balls, they obviously don't win many of them. But that's interesting as well. And the biggest weakness is defending against through ball attacks, and we've started to do more of that now,
especially with
Dowell in the side as well. So I think that's just a few pros and cons. But I think, like every team, Matt, these are known strengths and weaknesses to the team. But they're playing Birmingham City, so they're going to come and have a real go as best as they possibly can. Just to talk about a few players, you mentioned them really. That's Alliance. It's Kachunga.
Kachunga, that's it.
6 goals he's got. Shane Lavery, centre forward. He's got 4 goals. Dan Alundaloo, which is a nice name, 4 goals. Josh Stokes, 3 goals. And then Dan Alundaloo has 2 assists. Shane Lavery, 2 assists. So, as we've seen, and I said earlier, there's not a lot of goals in this team, but they're high scores. So they have got players that can hurt you. He tends to adapt the system for 10 times this season. Gary Monk has gone for 3-4-3. In fact, actually, all of the formations that they transition to, 5 times 3-4-1-2 and 5 times 3-4-2-1. So every time he's playing with a back 3. I wonder if he'll do that against us.
Dad, every team who plays a 3 at the back always end up going to a 5.
Yes.
So the wing. So let's say they play a 3 and there's wing backs, or they play 3 and the midfielders sit either high or deeper or higher up. They'll pull them back.
Yeah.
So they sit as a bank of 5. That usually is the pattern when teams come to St. Andrews.
I think that's going to happen here. I thought that because if they play 3 at the back, we potentially have got lots of space to exploit them there. So that's Cambridge. Should we go on to the Blues?
Yeah, let's do it, Dad.
Right, so we're going to, as always, as you know, people who watch this podcast, we always go from the back of the team, from goalkeeper forwards to predict who we think will be the starting line. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think we've been pretty accurate for a lot of the games.
For the Newcastle, I think we were spot on apart from the goalkeeper. Pretty much. I think there maybe one change apart from the rest.
I think I predicted Taylor Gardner-Hickman, but he wasn't even in the squad. I wonder if he's... I hope he's not, but because he wasn't in the squad at all for Stevenage, and he wasn't in the squad at all for...
He must have picked up a knockdown. There's no way he's not on the bench with his versatility.
Yeah, so I haven't heard anything anyway, but I hope he's not because, he's a decent player. Having said that, though, we have got a good squad anyway. So let's start at the back then, Matt. Do you want to do the back, or do you want me to do it? Yeah,
I'll go for it. Yeah. So I've
gone... Do the back line.
Yeah, I've gone for Allsop.
Yeah.
I think he'll be back in for this game. I think Davies has been loyal to Peacock Fell for the cup games, hasn't he? So Allsop will be back in goal. Cochrane left back. Davies left side. I feel like this is just on a loop now, Dad. It's almost like I think we've got quite predictable at the back, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Cochrane at the left back, Davies left side centre back, Clara right side centre back, and Laird at right back.
Yeah, I wonder how ready Myung Jae Lee is because I'm pretty sure he'll be either on the bench or. I don't think he'll start because I think he's building up his fitness, but at some point we are going to see him.
Yeah, we will.
I think you're right. He'll start with Cochrane, and then if maybe wants to give him a break, it will put him on at a certain point in the game.
But again, Dad, Davies knows more about the team's fitness levels than me, you, and the Blues fans do. So he might want to give Cochrane a rest. That's a variable we don't know about, isn't it? But I think if everyone's fully fit, he'll still stick with Cochrane for this game at left back.
We were just talking off air before we started the podcast, and I'm saying to Matt, if you look at the calendar now for February, it's basically March now. It's Tuesday, Saturday, all the way through. So actually, even though we've got Cambridge and Tuesdays, he's also going to have a mind on Charlton at home on the Saturday as well. So we are going to see, I believe, some rotation in the squad for certain games. And on the basis we played Newcastle on the evening of the Saturday, it's quite possible if Myung Jae Lee is fit, he could well start in place of Cochrane and give Cochrane a bit of a rest. But I have plumped for Cochrane myself on the basis that I'm not sure what fitness levels there are. Okay, so that's the back line. We sort of agree with that, don't we?
Yeah.
I agree. I've got the same back line.
Okay, midfield then, Dad. So me or you? Do you want to?
I'll do this because you did so I'll do midfield and the front. Okay, so I've gone with Keshi Anderson on the left, Scott Wright on the right. I've gone for Iwata, and I have gone for Taylor Gardner-Hickman, hoping that he's not injured in the middle. So obviously Leonard, we know he's out or will be out for this game because he had that nasty gash in his knee, I think it was, against Newcastle. So I've gone for Taylor Gardner-Hickman and Iwata, and I've gone for Dowell at number 10 with Stansfield at number 9.
Okay. So quite similar. I've gone for Iwata and Bielek in the centre mid.
Okay.
I'm going to assume Taylor Gardner-Hickman isn't ready or fit, Dad, because he hasn't been in the last 2 matchday squads. So I'm going to possibly think that continues. If Taylor Gardner-Hickman's fit and he's ready to go, I wouldn't be surprised to see Iwata and Taylor Gardner-Hickman in the middle. In fact, I'd probably prefer that, Dad, if I'm honest. So that would be that. Yeah, I've gone Keshi on the left. I've gone for Wright on the right. I've gone for Dykes in the 10.
Okay, he's on my bed cheese.
Although I really like Dowell, and I would, if it was me picking it, I would pick Dowell as well. There's just something about Cambridge and maybe the physical side of the game here. I just got a feeling he's going to put Dykes in there. Just got a feeling. And then, Stansfield in the 9 as well. So we only differ on the 10 and the centre mid, but my prediction is based off an injury. So very close again, Dad.
I think on the bench I've got Bailey Peacock-Farrell in mine, Bielek, Myung Jae Lee, Hanley. Now, Leonard I had, but obviously he can't be there, so I'm going to replace Samstead with him, and obviously then we've got Bielek that could play midfield, and Samstead could cover defence, and then I've got Dykes and May.
Mine's the same, apart from where we've differed in the position. I forgot about Samstead actually. Yeah.
So, but I'll stick him on the bench. I think he will be on the bench because I was thinking about League One, we can only have 7 subs. But I think on the basis of Leonard's injury, that will give Bielek as a midfield option, and there you'll have Samstead as a cover in defence, maybe because we've got Hanley as well and Myung Jae Lee. So we got good cover.
But what I want to see, Dad, and I think you'll agree with this because we speak about this a lot down the Blues and pre-matches and post-matches. Speed, momentum, pace. We need to go at these quickly because we've noticed even when teams park the bus against us, when we shift the ball quickly, we still cause teams a lot of problems. It's when we get into this shoehorn that we just go side to side and we get a little bit stuck and we lack that creativity. And Cambridge will be defensive. They will sit deep.
Oh, it's going to be another wall.
It's going to be a crack. What do you call it? Crack the nut that Chris Davies calls it. So, in my opinion, the best technique we've got in our arsenal to get over that is to shift the ball quickly. Let's go at them. And when we do break the press, when we are passing it, let's not look backwards to Allsop again. Let's go on the rampage and go forward. Let's really go at them. And let's get those 3 points and stay top of the league.
Just before we finish, Matt, one thing I've noticed is that neither of us have actually got Harris in the squad. I've not, and it could well be on the bench. I mean, on the basis that Leonard is now likely to be out, because I think it's all right having defenders and midfielders, but you've got to have attacking options. Because
to be honest with you, Dad, now we've got Dowell. I think he is a brilliant player. He's really creative. He's good on the ball. And I'm not going to be as harsh to say send Harris back to Fulham. And I like Harris, Dad, in terms of I think there's a talented footballer there. I really do. I like Harris. It just hasn't worked out for him at Birmingham City, and I don't think he's had the effect we were hoping for. Even he's hoping for, if he's going to be honest. So I don't think we'll see much more of Harris for the remainder of the season. And also, he's a lone player. We should be playing our contracted starters.
I think there's a lot of games, a lot of football to be played, and in a very short period of time, and to keep the squad fresh. I think he will play a part, but I think it won't be.
I don't think he'll be as prominent as he has been.
No, it won't be. But So As always, we need to do a score prediction, don't we? So I'll let you go first.
Okay, so I'm going to strip it back to basics then. I think I've probably picked this score the most this season. I'm going to go for Birmingham City 2, Cambridge 0.
Yeah, I thought about that, but I think that we're strong at home. We don't concede many goals, so I think we will keep a clean sheet in this game. But I've gone for 3-0.
Okay.
I've gone for Birmingham 3. And I
We've
don't
only beat one team 3-0 this year. It's been Wigan away, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I think the players will want to get back to winning ways
Yeah.
after the Newcastle defeat, and I think that they'll know how important. I actually think, and this is going to sound really dramatic, I think this is a bigger game than Newcastle.
Yeah, I think
In my opinion, I think it is. I think this is where we have the opportunity to go 7 points clear at the top of the table. This is massive. This game is, and I know there's still a few tickets left for the game as well. So if you can get down there, then do. We know it's difficult because a lot of games, a lot of money, and obviously it's a midweek game as well.
Yeah.
So people are working and stuff like that. But try and create an atmosphere that that we can. I don't think it'd be difficult to replicate Newcastle against Cambridge. But I think that it shows you what we can do as a club and what we can do as a fan base, and just to get behind the boys, it makes such a difference to them.
Yeah.
So that's what we think, Birmingham City supporters. About the game. This is another game that we, on our journey to hopefully achieving where we get us to where we want to be at the end of the season. We'd love to know your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below what you think about the game. Give us a score prediction. Maybe what you think the starting lineup will be. Pop a comment below and let's have a look. If Cambridge United, if you're a fan that's come across this channel for the first time, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. We always welcome comments from fans from other clubs, so please feel free to put comments below yourselves. If you did like this podcast, as always, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcasts on Spotify, you'll find us on there now, and you see the handles appearing on the screen for all of these channels right now. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to have or see the future podcasts that myself and Matt put out. And if you want notifications, there's a bell icon next to the subscribe button so that you'll get a notification to every time we put a podcast out. So hope you've enjoyed it. We certainly have. Looking forward to the game. And myself and Matt will see you on the next podcast all about Birmingham City.